Hey everyone, how are we going today? We're going to go over the XENO Shadow Dragons, part 2, take 2, new set, new cards for the archetype. Let's just get right into it. I'm just going to go right into the deck profile. When the new card comes up, I'll explain the new card. Quick preface, I don't have all the new cards in the deck. I will talk over the others that I don't have in the deck after I go over the deck list that I have put together, and the reasons why I haven't put them in, and we'll just go through it. Alright. So, starting off with Unison. The new cards still are based solely around a lot around the Unisons because we have more extra cards when we Spirit Boost. To play the extra cards, Unison still run it at 4, and we still run 2 negative energy. Explosions to search for other extra cards and to find our Unison. These ones are relatively the same. The old cards, I'm just going to talk like we already know what they are. You're mainly using the +1 and the Unison. The -7 may actually be viable now because we've got some more battle cards. However, you're mainly just going to be using the +1 virtually every turn to get more markers to Spirit Boost to Mill, because Mill is still like your main win con, because this is a very defensive archetype. Moving on, we've got the 4-drop Deflect Double Strike Barrier Blocker SYN, so this can put pressure on opponent's Unisons on your opponent's leader. And essentially, with the activate main / battle, this Spirit Boost essentially has like dual attack, which is really nice. So, we've got 2 of this guy. Got 2 of the SYN Power of Darkness, which can mill another card if you pay 1 after your Spirit Boost, which is really versatile. I ended up not using him too much in my playing of the deck before, so that's why I've come down to 2. I thought he was going to be an integral part of the deck, not really. And then we've got 2 SHENRON Wicked Strike. Now there's a couple more extra cards with energy cost of 2, so he becomes a little bit better. Especially with the way the format's headed, with Gohan Icarus being so prevalent, as well as blue. There's less like low to the ground, easy board removal. There's not like, without red being extremely prevalent and like green, those are the 2 colors that have like dormant, and just like neg 10Ks and stuff like that. Without those decks running rampant, 1-drops are a little bit safer. So we've got, still do think SHENRON Wicked Strike's a good card. Moving on though, we've got some of the new cards. So first of all, we have the 8-drop Omega SHENRON Ultimate Darkness. So he is unique and triple strike, and he has the same order that all of them have. So when it's played from your hand or discarded by a Shadow Dragon skill, you get to look at the top card of your deck. If it's a black Shadow Dragon, add to your hand. If not, put it on the bottom of your deck. So, activate main. If your leader is a Shadow Dragon and you have 3 or more energy, you can send 7 black Shadow Dragon cards from your drop to your warp, and then you get to play this card. So he's a 30k triple strike for 2 energy. Decent. Doesn't have any protection, which is a bit of a shame. So God Sealing will stop him. Charismatic Villain won't stop him, which is really nice, but like some other interactions will stop him. He's at 8 cost, which helps you get through Hatch if you're trying to attack through Hatch. Don't know why you're trying to attack through Hatch, but that's a different problem. But he's a nice bigger boss monster. Good card to play off the -7, and can finish your opponent off if they're not like respecting their we're not respecting your pressure. Then we've got 2 Omega SHENRON Darkness Absorbed. So same order, and then unique as well. Then activate main for 1 black. If your leader is a Shadow Dragon card, you can choose 1 black Shadow Dragon card from with an energy cost of 5 left in your battle area. Place it in its owner's drop. If you do, you get to choose one of your opponent's battle cards and send it to a warp. So yeah, so you also play this card. Don't know if I mentioned that when I said it, but yeah. So this is how you play the you warp one of your battle cards and it costs 5 less. You get to play the 8-drop and you get a warp card. Spot removal is really nice. I really like spot removal. Really like the way this card looks and works. Very keen to have 1 energy spot removal. You can get rid of like some of your battle cards you don't need on the field for something that's a little bit better. If you need, it's also 30k beta. We only have him as 2 because most of the battle cards you are playing are actually quite impactful, so you don't necessarily want to get rid of it. It is nice to be able to, if you're trying to like push for game, right, and you already had an 8-drop on board. Actually, no, never mind. Ignore me. Ignore that statement. We're going to move on. Can't choose 8-drop as a target. Anyway, we have the 3-drop Nova SHENRON. This is Oceanus from the Just Shadow Dragons archetype. It's the exact same card. So order's the same as all the other cards. Activate main. Limit 1, burst 1, send this card from your hand to your warp. Look up top 5 cards of your deck. Add up to 1 black Shadow Dragon card with the energy cost 5 or less among them to your hand. The exact same as the old Oceanus one for the archetype. Important thing to note though, he is a 3-drop and he's got 20k in crit, so it's something you can play off the 1-drop Haze Shenron. Speaking of the 1-drop Haze Shenron, before we had 4, 3, and 3. In testing, I upped it to 4, 4, and 4, just because these were great cards. But now we've gone back to 4 Haze, because this is now the most important card in the deck. I'll show you why in a sec, but 4 Haze, 1-drop Haze, 3-drop Haze is just on swing. Warper card is insane. He's also crit, which is insane. This is basically like just a mini thwarting, but unfortunately you have to kind of go through the stages. But if this guy's 6 on the board, you can play him for 1 energy. He's a crit. He's also a blocker. Really, really underrated commons. Kind of ridiculous. This guy just spots remove anything 5 or less for 1 energy. We still like them. Still like them both. But don't want to go too much into it. Then we have these guys. So we're not running too many of the new stuff, but they are still decent. So first of all, we got Shenron, who is a 3-drop barrier blocker. Now the reason we don't run more of this is we already have the 4-drop barrier blocker, so if we're looking to play, just like actually play a barrier blocker, we much prefer to play the 4-drop, and then this, you don't really want to play this for 3, I guess, if you're not playing the one, like if you don't have the 1-drop Haze, and I still think the crit Haze is the best target to play off the 1-drop, so I've got this at 2, but at the end of the turn you guys switch it to active, so you still get a swing with this into like Unisons or into opponent's leader to push them through and punish them, but then you also get to untap this, which is cool and dandy. Then you have the Nova Shenron, which is crit, 16k. We only run one of him, and he's just neat. You get to play a Toa from your drop back onto your battle area with it, back into your Unison area with 1 marker on it. So it's basically like you got like a 5th Unison in the deck, which can be quite handy, especially if you want to spirit boost like yourself down, and get rid of your own Unison, then tap 1 to play the Nova with Haze, and then you get to play the Unison back, as well as getting a 16k crit on the board, which is just nice. And in terms of cards in hand, when you play Unison, you go -1 in hand. If you play this to get the Unison back, you actually go even in hand, because this guy will draw you a draw you a card, because it has the same order. Mind you, all these cards have the same order. Next, we have the Rage Shenron Negative Energy Explosion. So same order. Then he has Burst 1 if your leader is a Shadow Dragon. If it's your opponent's turn and this card is using a combo from your hand, switch up to one of your leaders to active mode. Now, so this is kind of like the Zarbon from set 2, the Yellow Zarbon, or gonna say Nova from the yellow one. Could be Ice, could be Rage, no, it's the Oceanus. It's the 2-drop Oceanus, I think, that has like the one that restands a battle card. This guy restands later though, which is really cool, because if I go back and show you real quick, our Unison's auto is not once per turn. So I think it was a bit niche to have that card in the deck, but it's really nice, because if they're trying to kill your Unison, you can block with your leader, then combo, restand, so you can like out combo the attack, restand your leader. This still gets a marker, and then you can block again to give it another marker. So just say I had like 2 markers instead of normally only having to swing twice. They have to swing once because your leader stops it. It's got 3 markers, so it's going to now swing 3 more times. But then if you have that 1 extra card, your leader will stop another attack. So it had to twice to swing through these, and it's got 4 markers. So essentially, that 1 card can stop 2 more attacks, which like can mean they have to attack 2 more times into the Unison, which is really good. I've got a bit more defense for the Unison as well now, which is lovely. Really like to see it. But yeah, this is a unique one. You can potentially up it to 2. I think I've got like a 54 or 55 card list, so it's pretty tight list. So feel free to mess around with the ratios as much as you want. This is just what I am going to start off testing, and I really like where the archetype's at the moment. Now we've got 1-drop Neutron Shenron, so this is an old card. So this is the only one that has a different auto from the rest of him. He's only if he's discarded from hand, because he has a different on-play auto. So his on-play auto is you get to choose 1 Shadow Dragon extra card from your drop to add it to your hand. I like having him in here because it's just a bit of tap 1, get a extra card that I need to win the game, for example, from the drop. I like having him as a one-off in here. You can put him at 2, you can put him at 3, whatever you like. I just think he's a nice 1-drop. Now moving on to our battle card negates. We have 2 new, we've got a new battle card negate, and I really like this Rage. So negate the attack and play this card in rest. Unfortunately, you do have to play this card in rest, but it's a 3-cost negate, except if there are 7 more black Shadow Dragon cards in your drop, you get to reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 2. So like turn 2, turn 3, potentially turn 4, but mainly turn 2 or 3, you'll be able to fulfill this as long as you're not warping stuff with the 8 drop, which you won't be doing too often. But you'll be able to fulfill this relatively early. And then it's a 1 energy negate that plays a body for like next turn you can block with it. So it can essentially stop 2 attacks, and you're not actually losing a single card in hand because the auto will look at the top card deck and add it back to hand. So it maintains your massive hand size, which I really like about it. Next we have Oceanus, same Oceanus. We cut it down to 3 because we do have other negates and other things we're trying to fit in here. You may still want it at 4 because milling is like your main way to win, I believe, in this deck. However, I don't think you're ever resolving 4 in a game. I think you're generally only resolving 2, mainly on turn, like, very potentially resolving 3, which is turn 3, 4, and 5. You're never really resolving 1 on 6, because you can generally mill them out by 6. Like, the deck in later turns has a surprising amount of mill. And if they swing into an Oceanus, that's just on them, right? Makes it so much easier for you to win. But it's also 2 cost negates. Having like 1 cost negates like Rage is really helpful. So yeah, that's why that's those ones. Moving on to the extra cards we had before. Before we used to have 3 Ultimate Dark Dragon Slaying Bullets. I don't think this card was actually ever so impactful. No decks. The only deck that's really playing Unisons offensively is probably like Gogeta XENO. That's like the only deck I can think of that wants to play Unison and keep swinging a bunch of times. But that'll just be like, cool, I'll put in the drop, use Kai, play it again. So it doesn't really do too much if I'm being entirely honest. So yeah, I don't see it doing too much, but I do, however, like the activate main / battle, where your opponent chooses one of the cards with an energy cost less than the number of cards. Choose one of your opponent's battle card with an energy cost less than the number of cards in their drop and sends it to their warp. Energy cost less. Yes, it's alright. It's quite good early on to just say they have like a 6 drop Gogeta and they got 2 cards from warp. You basically can only get rid of the Gogeta. But I think it's quite a niche card. Yeah, look, I don't think it's too impactful, honestly. So that's why we just have it at 1, but I think it's still pretty niche. So it's alright. Moving on though, we do have 3 Ultimate Whirlwind Spin, which is your battle card searcher. I love this card mainly because it's a pseudo bean on your leader for defense. So you can basically make your leader 16k, which defensively is the same as a 20k, unless you've got like something swinging you with 16, 17, 18, or 19. So unless something's swinging at you within that range, a 16k is the same as a 20k defensively. So just getting that 1k is absolutely beautiful. And you also get a search. So you get a activate main / battle, look at top 5 cards of your deck, add a Shadow Dragon battle card among them to your hand. Then you get to choose 1 black Shadow Dragon card in your hand, discard it. If you do, your leader gets 10k. So you can discard Shadow Dragon on the top card and another card back. Lovely. Moving on to Ultimate Dragon Quake. This is a card I don't really use too much, but I think it does have a lot of potential. You basically just get to choose one of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost greater than their current energy, send it to the opponent's warp. It's really funny if someone tries to offensively Kai you just warp it. And then it does get played back at the end of the turn with the skills negated. However, if they've got 15 or fewer cards in the deck, it just gets placed in the drop instead of being played. So it's quite nice, like turn 3 and turn 4 when they're playing 6 drops and stuff like that. And turn 1 and 2 when they're playing. Turn 1, 2 is good for pseudo removal, or just remove it for the turn, kind of like the Kai negate. Then it comes back, and then your Haze can remove it next turn or something like that. But it's then really good turn 3, 4, 5 because they won't have too many cards left in deck, and then you get the full second effect off, which is really nice. Moving on to the new one, so we have one of the best cards coming out for the deck, which is the Ultimate Minus Energy Ball, which reads as a counterattack. If your leader is a mono black, you gotta choose one of your opponent's battle cards with 15k power less, ignoring barrier, and send it to its owner's warp. So I can't think of too many things straight up. It really hurts King Piccolo, for example. It'll hurt stuff like King Cold. Any deck that's essentially running 1-drops to as their draw engine, it'll really hurt in the mirror, for example. But Piano, the 1-drop Gohan. If your opponent is playing Gohan Icarus and it's leaving 1-drop high drags on the board, you can just get rid of them. There are a lot, there's a fair few cards that this will hit. Nothing super impactful, if that makes sense, but it's really good. But the Best part about it is if you have a black Unison, you can activate this card's counter skill without paying its energy cost, so it's nice. But it is important to know it doesn't really negate the attack, so if you want, you can just like play 2 of this or something like that. It's kind of like the Wolf-Fang Fist, Dawn Potential, stuff like that, but for black. So it's definitely a nice card, but it doesn't like stop an attack. So I like this at 3 because it also has the activate main / battle, where you get to choose one of your black leaders or battle cards and gets 15k power till the end of a battle or end of turn, whatever comes first. Because the activate main / battle does have to have that preface on it. So it's quite nice. However, you're kind of in an awkward spot with it, just because it doesn't negate the attack. So you're not stopping too much, but it can also help like a bit early, protecting Unison and stuff like that. But yeah, I would suggest looking at this and the rage counter attack and like balancing out which one you want to use. Next, we have Ultimate Ice Spray. I just have one of this. I have one of each of these 2-cost ones, just because a 2-cost extra card, you never really want to pay 2 for it. You always want to Spirit Boost to play it. And besides Spirit Boosting for playing it, like that's really relying on Unison. With Kai being a card in the format, yes, you do have like your Ultimate Dragon Quake to get rid of the Kai, but with Kai just being a card, especially with Finn coming out next set, whoever thought that Finn card was like okay, was not okay. But with those cards just existing, you're not getting as much value from like your Unison and your Spirit Burst as you theoretically think you may be able to, which is obviously like a shame and a shambles. But yeah, look, don't want to go too much into it, but Ultimate Ice Ray, what does it do? Activate main / battle, limit 1. Your opponent plays top card of their deck in the drop. And then additionally, you may choose 2 black cards in your hand, discard them. If you do, your opponent can only attack with battle cards 1 more time for the turn. Now, why do I only have this at 1, considering how good of an effect it is? Look, you could very easily up this to 2. However, I think you're maybe using this once, maybe twice per game, right? And at a 1 copy, because your Unison does put extra cards back at the bottom of your deck, and you can also get it back with Natron, having it at 1 isn't too bad. Just make sure you don't charge it. It's very important. Don't charge these 1-off extra cards, because you'll never see them again. You can discard them, get them back with the Unison. You can bottom deck them, and then you'll shuffle your deck later with either the Ultimate Whirlwind Spin or the Negative Energy Explosion extra card. So you'll be able to see it more than once, even if you only run one in the deck. So that's why we've only got it 1, because it is mainly just because it's that 2-cost extra card, and it's quite like a niche effect. Now, I will say, you can discard 2 Shadow Dragon extra cards, battle cards, and then I get a look at the top 2 and add cards back to your hand. So you're not really discarding if you play around it right. Then we have Ultimate Flame Shot, which is very similar. If your leader is a Black Shadow Dragon card, and you place 1 card from your life in your drop, your opponent mills 1, and your leader doesn't take damage from your opponent's attacks until the end of the battle or end of turn, whichever comes first. Now, this is really nice, purely because it's like a Brainwash No More, which is a card people were considering playing in the deck in the first place. But this one is like searchable. I'm going to say searchable, but you gotta look at the top card and you can add it, which is very, very nice indeed. Something interesting to note, all the 2 costs seem to mill 1. All 2-cost extra cards seem to mill 1 when you play it, which is really nice. But yeah, this is also just like you may use it once. Like you may use it once a game. You're virtually never going to use this twice. It's kind of like you have it in your hand and you play like you got 1 less card in your hand. It's not the worst thing in the world. But it's a very good card. Yeah, it's basically Brainwash No More, but in an extra card. It's just a nice card to have. And then in some matchups, you're just never going to want to use it. Like, you're just going to be like, yeah, cool. Like against Hatch, well, you're never going to want to use this card. Just charge it. Because the swing with single strikes, it's basically like against big triple strikes, big double, triple, quad strikes, that this is really useful. Decks that you can see dumping in on Champa. And the great thing is you don't have to have any energy open if you have that Unison that can Spirit Burst. So, those are the extra cards. Finishing off, we've got the same Secret and the same Super Combo, because they are the best Secret and Super Combo for the deck, purely because you can look top card of the deck, and if it's there, put it in hand. Now, a couple things I will note before I let you be for the night. First of all, looking through the deck. As you can see, every single card in the deck is a Shadow Dragon except the 4 Unisons. Really wish this had a permanent this card against Shadow Dragon in all areas. Would make the deck 10 times better. But we only run 4 because every single other card we used to run, Haze. The 3-drop Haze was a niche card in the deck in the first place. The 1-drop extra card essentially does the same thing, so it's good enough you can just run that. Except the reason we used to run that is because we also ran like Power Burst and other cards. But now we can essentially get rid of Power Burst. We can just get rid of that Haze and have the Unisons on the card. You're mulliganing for Unisons anyway, so there's essentially only going to be 3 in the deck after that turn 1, because you really want to see that Unison turn 1. So that's that. The other thing is there are 3 Shadow Dragon cards we don't play in the deck. First of all, we have, I'm going to move my head. So, ooh, that's not what I want to do. I want to move my head. Move my head to the middle. Beautiful. Alright, these are the 2 new cards that we decided not to play. So, the first one is basically the 3-drop Rage that we did look at. The one that got to switch our leader, but this gets to switch one of our battle cards to active mode. Now, it's really good to switch the barrier blocker to active mode. And it works really well with this ultimate electric slime, which activate main/battle, choose one of your black battle cards to give it 9k power and revenge for the turn. Now, I'm going to give you the exact reasons why I'm not running these in my deck. Now, I only think this card is good on the barriers. Like, yes, so I just realized you can't see where I'm pointing. I only think the ice is good with cards that have barrier. So yeah, this ice only really good on the card that has barrier because it just get warped, man. Like all your blockers have virtually no defense except the barrier ones. So it's a bit iffy. I prefer to race down my leader and just like let my leader take hits. You play enough blockers in the first place that you don't need to re-stand like a 15k blocker. That's being killed on that first attack anyway, which is the other thing. Like they're being killed. But it does pair extremely well with the Ultimate Electric Slime. Now, Ultimate Electric Slime, while it's a good card, it's important to note, Revenge is like an auto. So when a card declares an attack and then you declare like the block, after that first stage of like declaring where that battle's actually going to, that's when the card needs to have Revenge. So if you activate battle and give a card Revenge mid-battle, it's not going to have Revenge for that battle. So you're going to have to wait until the next battle for Revenge to kick in. So what you could do, for example, if they swing, you could like block with your leader, or you can block with something else and then give your barrier guy Revenge. And then next attack you can block with the barrier guy and then restand with ice. Except that's a lot of combo pieces, and I think the barrier blocker already is going to be difficult to get out because I just don't think the 1-drop Haze is surviving. Honestly, I think people are now going to realize how important that 1-drop Haze is, and that's going to be targeted non-stop. So these are the cards I don't run. I also don't run Ultimate Dragon Tackle, which is the 2-drop extra card. I'll see if I can find one because I just have my SYN deck just chilling here. Here it is. I also don't run this guy on my camera. Don't run this guy anymore. So it gives your opponent a choice, and giving your opponent a choice is always bad. While it's like it's an awkward choice, right? They either have to remove 2 markers from a Unison, or they have to warp one of their battle cards and get draw a card. Unless you're, like, generally, they will let you warp a card, except if there's a battle card, for example, like mid-battle, if they're swinging for game, they're just going to let you remove 2 markers for a Unison. Or if they're not playing a deck with a Unison in it, the card never does anything. I think it's a card you could definitely sideboard for Unison-reliant decks. Maybe, for example, Hatchiyak, I think it would be a really good card to sideboard against Hatch, purely because they're so reliant on like their Unison for that extra swing, especially if they're playing Bardock. They'll swing with their 1 battle card for the turn, and then you're like, okay, I can either remove 2 markers from your Unison and extremely easily kill it next turn, or I'm warping your 1 battle card attack you get for the turn and drawing a card, so I'm not losing anything, and you just wasted your swing. So it's really good sideboard card for Hatch and stuff like that, but I wouldn't main deck it in this format / this metagame. Look, I could be wrong, meta could be changed, it could be the best card ever. I doubt it though. Anyway, that is my video on my updated Shadow Dragons list. Hope you enjoyed it. I really like this archetype. I like milling, and one thing I've noticed very recently with the rise of Gohan Icarus and me playing decks similar to Gohan Icarus, I like spending my energy turn by turn and using stuff effectively, not just like sitting with 2 energy open just to counterplay with the master every turn. So I like using my energy. This deck lets me use my energy either on extra cards or on battle cards. Lets me Spirit Boost. Have so many different resources I can manage. I really like this deck. I really hope it's great in this next format, but we will see. I'll definitely be giving it its fair go. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time. Please like, comment, subscribe down below. I really do appreciate it. Let me know what I can do better. I say this at the end of every video, but I do just want to entertain you guys. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time. See ya.